Okay, I'm going to be recording this to update the consumer protection. Um, this video will be to update you on the events that have happened with my bike. There's been a few incidents. So this is the I think the third incident. So I'll update you on the first one. The first one was the battery issue. I had a battery that was defective, and it took some time for Rise to replace the battery. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to kind of not replace it right away. They wanted to inspect the bike to see if anything else was any problem, which I didn't have any issue with that. I followed along with them, and they sent me emails on how to like diagnose the bike and do all that stuff, right? But eventually, I went to a mechanic, and mechanic says I spoke to the mechanic about the issue that I was facing, and from what I explained to him, the mechanic said that the problem would most likely be is the battery issue. So it took some time for me to convince them because they were kind of dismissing it and saying it was another issue. So, but eventually that issue got taken care of. But it took almost 3 months to take care of that, right? So the warranty claim was opened as soon as I opened that box and I rode that bike. I think it was April or May. The first day I rode it, I had an issue with that bike. Anyway, that issue has been taken care of slightly. There's still some other issues that they didn't take care of properly, but I'll just go on with this new issue. So this is a new issue, and it's actually a much bigger issue. Okay, so where do I begin? Okay, so the issue is that this bike, so I'm pressing the power button, it won't turn on. Okay, so what happened is I was riding this bike like a regular day. I hit a speed bump at a regular rate, like at a regular speed, nothing too fast, nothing too crazy. And as I hit the speed bump, the battery just, or I mean, the power just cut out. So I tried to turn it back on. It wouldn't turn back on. So I knew there was a big problem, but I didn't understand what it was. So I went over to a mechanic, or sorry, I went over to the storage unit where I just parked my bike here, and I took a look at the bike, and I sent an email, and I called what is it called, Rise, and I called them and I said, there's an issue with the bike. Can you help me out? And they said, okay, no problem. So what they told me was to check all the wires first to make sure all the wires were connected and they weren't loose, which I did. And I searched all of these wires. See these wires here? And I inspected all these wires. None of them were loose. There was no damages, nothing. And then I inspected this wire here, which is for the secondary battery, which there's no damage or corrosion or anything like that. It was fine. I unplugged it, plugged it back in, nothing happened. I inspected this one here, and what I found was this part here, I don't know if you can see it, it was loose, like the connector there. See that silver part? It wasn't connected, but the connection itself was fine. It was just the threading that was loose. So I'm not a bike mechanic, but I think that's normal because after a few months of riding the bike, it like the shaking, all the vibration of the bike when you ride it and you hit bumps and all that, it loosens up on its own. So you have to tighten it up once in a while. So what I did was I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and I tightened it up. And that's and then I tried pressing the power button. Obviously, it didn't work. So I didn't understand what was happening, and I sent an email and I called Rise, and they said, okay, you got to get a voltage meter reader, and then go inside of here and check your controller. So I didn't have that item right away. So I went over to a mechanic, and I took a look at the mechanic, and I just asked him to just do me a favor and inspect the bike to see if there's something that I'm missing. So the mechanic took a look. He says, well, since this bike can't turn on, it's most likely some sort of internal issue. Says the problem could be somewhere between here, here, and here. So what I did was I took this battery out, the secondary battery here. So I took this battery out here. Okay. Took this battery out. Oh, it's already. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I took this battery out, and I let the mechanic take a look at this, the battery and inspect it. And what happened was, there was an issue. The mechanic spotted it right away. He says that you see these three nuts, 1, 2, and 3. He says that they were loose. This one was slightly loose. This one was really loose, and this one was just about to fall off. Right. So what I did was I screwed it back on, like now, but not then. And then the mechanic took a closer look, and you see that there's a piece here. There's a nut there, right? And then if you take a look over here, there's a missing nut, right? So this nut, what happened was, may have fallen here. There's a very good chance he fell here. So what happened is the mechanic explained to me that if that nut fell while the power is on, that it could be like, he's not saying 100%, but it could be the reason why the power shorted out, right? So there's no protector from here to here from this nut falling. There's no protection for this. This is a manufacturer's error, because when you ride this bike, there's a lot of shaking and rattling that happens throughout their day, right? And if you do it for a week, a month, whatever, these nuts fall out and they fall in here. And then what happens is when they touch these metal prongs, while the electricity is going through it, 52 volts, it could possibly damage the entire electrical system. All right, so I don't know for sure because I'm not a mechanic and I'm not an electrician, but I took a look at the back of the batteries here. And if you see the back of the batteries here, you can see very physical, like, see that? There's very physical signs of damage. Like, not so much on this one here. There's a slight damage here on this one. And then you can see the damage over here, here. You can see it here and here. Looks like the plastic or the coating there is extremely damaged. All right. So that's the serial numbers here for this battery. That's 1. The serial number is here. That's 2. Okay. And then you can see the damage here. You see that physical damage there? Not so much here, here, or here, but definitely here and here. You can see the damage. Right? So that's serial number 2. So that's how this battery here is supposed to sit down like that there, right? But if that metal piece there falls in there, that's what I'm suspecting is causing the damage, right? So the manufacturer didn't put any protectors to protect that from happening, right? So now I take a look at this battery here, that's the serial number. And if you take a look at here, see that there's corrosion. You can see the difference in the color. Right, so if you compare the color over here, it's silver, then you get brown in the middle with a little bit of silver, and then it's silver, and then up here is silver, silver, and silver. right? So you can see there's corrosion or some sort of damage there, right there. Okay. So that's the thing there. I'm gonna have to take a look at this one here. I'll have to take it out. So I'll stop this video now because I gotta physically take this thing out, and I'll continue. I'll make a part 2 for this video.